Hello, this is Tea with the Druid 180. This is Philip Carr-Gomm, and Tea with the Druid is brought to you by the Order of Bards, Evates and Druids every Monday at 8 o'clock British time. So thank you again to Dean for making that little intro clip. That music is so soothing and peaceful. It reminds me at the weekend, a friend was reminding me of a comment made by the psychoanalyst Wilfred Bion. Strange name, sounds like sort of gas or something, Bion. And Bion's definition of psychotherapy was two people sitting in a room facing each other, both of them terrified. And not hopefully an accurate description of most psychotherapy, but of course there's an element of truth in it when trying to understand what on earth is going on when two people sit in this very formalized and artificial, in one sense, situation. So why do I mention that? Well, I was sitting here thinking, why aren't I terrified? That's why I do this every week, because if this was once a month or once a year or once a quarter or whatever, it would be more stressful. There's something about doing something regularly where, you know, in the end you kind of give into it and you can't be nervous because you just do it so sufficiently. It becomes a habit in a way. But it's lovely to see everybody piling in, and do say where you're from. And we've got lots of people from Wells, Ontario, Ohio, Virginia, Yorkshire, Holland, Sweden, Ulster, fantastic, Pennsylvania, and Enfield, fantastic, and Argentina and Amsterdam. How lovely to see you. And you know, there's a way in which, as we gather here, even though each of us might be on our own in front of our funny little machines and computers and things, somehow there's a sense of togetherness. And there's somebody from Crete, Popi Kutentaki, hello, and Petra from Vienna, hi. So I hope you've been enjoying good weather. We've had the most fabulous weather in England. It's been really great. And I wanted to talk this evening a little bit about the search for the Grail. This is a familiar subject to many of us, of course, but I just wanted to share some thoughts I had about it. And it goes like this. If you think about seeking the Grail, why do we talk about seeking the Grail? I mean, the Grail is the container. Why don't we talk about seeking what is inside the Grail? Why are we looking for the form, for the container? It's almost as if we were going to take this literally, that when we were in town and we were looking for a good meal or a good cup of coffee, we decided to look for good crockery or a cup, when of course what we really want is the coffee. Now, it's true that in the spiritual quest, not everybody is seeking the Grail. And you could say that in Druidry, we go straight for the coffee. We go straight for the elixir that the Grail contains, which is the Awen, the elixir of spiritual illumination and inspiration. But in fact, the first step in seeking Awen is, in fact, seeking the Grail. The first step is finding the container, finding and working with the sacred grove, which is another symbol of the Grail, this clearing in a forest, which is like an open vessel in the woods. So even in Druidry, we're seeking the container first. And it makes, of course, a huge deal of sense, because what we don't want to do is get the elixir without the container. We don't want to go into the restaurant and say, we'd like some coffee, please. And the waiter comes and just pours the coffee all over the table on our heads. We need the container first. So I've just written some notes about this just before this session, and I'm going to read them out. There's a great deal of talk about the search for the Grail. But why search for the Grail when that's not really your goal? When you're looking for a good meal or a coffee, you're not looking for good crockery, surely. Why don't we talk about the search for what fills the Grail? Well, in Druidry, we do. We talk about the search for Awen, spiritual illumination and inspiration. But we miss something if we do not first tread the path of the Grail seeker, because there's a great secret in this, a great gift. The gift of limitations, of containment. We search for the Grail first because we need to have the container ready first. In the world of art, the limitations of the medium govern the resulting artwork. The limitations of language dictate the ability of the written word to move us, to even make sense. The container of the self, of ourselves, is the Grail, the container into which the Awen can flow. Big secret here. This turns everything on its head. It allows me to understand my limitations, my vulnerability, my weaknesses, my strengths, everything I am, as the container, the Grail that will receive the elixir of Awen. And that's why in spiritual traditions, the first step is know thyself. Seeker, know thyself. Because the power of the Awen, the power of spiritual illumination, can be destructive if the container isn't ready. Somebody famous, who was it? Possibly Ken Wilber, or Ken Wilber quoting somebody else, said, "You're looking for enlightenment? Are you mad? That's like inviting an elephant into the little shack of your house. It'll break everything and destroy everything." And so we seek self-knowledge, we seek to develop the container, not seeking perfection. This is where I think we can perhaps take a wrong turn. It's not that we're seeking perfection, but we're attending to the crockery rather than the meal, getting the wine glasses out before pouring the wine, sweeping the house before the guest arrives. And that's an analogy, used in Sufism of the guest, the divine guest, the beloved, coming into the house of the self, and you sweep the house before the guest arrives. Not making things perfect, making them ready. And a part of that process is finding emptiness before finding fullness. One of the great secrets is, or one of the great, perhaps one could say, discoveries, is that in finding emptiness, one finds fullness. It's as if the pressure to know and to accumulate knowledge is so great in society, in the world we live in academia, that we try to cram ourselves with information so that we can then feel full. But it doesn't work like that. Paradoxically, we need to, on the one hand, of course, seek information and education, but at the same time, seek a deeper kind of emptiness, an emptiness that will somehow create the vessel for the Awen to flow and for inspiration to come. And this idea about the containment, it can be fantastically useful in all sorts of settings in terms of the creative process, as we've just talked about a little bit, with knowing your limitations and that creating the container for your creativity. Comes in psychotherapy and working with people. If you take an example, say putting on a workshop, organizing a retreat or something like that, you've got various levels of containment that you can see very clearly. You've got the containment of the place. So you say, okay, let's hire this place or that place. And you choose a place that will be a good vessel, a good container for the workshop you want to do. Physically, the environment, the comfort, the creature comforts and so on of the place and the setting. and then the wider container, perhaps of the grounds they're in or the environment that this place is sitting in. The food that's going to be there. And you know, as a workshop leader, that if you've got a great place and great food, you're halfway there already to a great experience for the people who are coming to work with you. But then you decide on the container of the topic, the work you're going to be doing. What is the container that you're inviting people to in? What is the workshop about? What is the theme? What is going to contain this in some way? And then you work on the social, emotional, spiritual, human containment too, so that you're creating a warm, loving atmosphere that has the right boundaries around it and so on. So you're working with the concept of the Grail, of the container, at all these different levels. Because if you can get that right, then when everybody turns up and you welcome them and you do your workshop, then the Awen can flow. Then the group energy can be positive and creative and hopefully inspirational too. So somebody's been reading too much Dan Brown. Certainly not. I could never make any headway with Dan Brown. Andrew Newton, yes. Andrew Newton, yes, let's click on yours. Oh, it's not showing. Why doesn't it show? There we go. Different traditions describe it as a cup, dish, or stone with miraculous powers that provide happiness, eternal youth, or sustenance in infinite abundance. Exactly. Thank you, Andrew. Yes. So the particular container, if you apply this idea now, you say, okay, well, this is all very well, but what's the container here? This is an unusual situation. We've got something working on the internet that goes out all over the world. How can you create a container? Well, one of the things you do is you create a title, something like, Tea with a Druid. So that sets the tone. Tea, so it's informal, it's relaxed, it's welcoming. With a Druid, so you bring in the idea that you're working with ideas around Druidry, philosophy, spirituality, and so on, earth-based spirituality. And then there's the containment of time, aiming for around 20 to 30 minutes. That creates a containment as well. And then the way I think it works best is to chat a little bit and then to try and welcome as many people as possible. But we can't welcome everybody because there are just too many people pile in. And so it would get very boring if I kept reading out about where people were from and so on. So I hope it's okay with you if I just welcome a number of people first, but everybody's included in that welcome. So we're building this container so that hopefully whoever we are and wherever we are, we feel welcomed into this virtual space of Tea with a Druid. And sometimes we'll talk about sitting in the circle together, or sitting around a fire, or sitting in the sacred grove, which gives a sense of containment too. And then we'll have a meditation, which will have its own levels of containment too. All with the purpose of this being a preliminary stage in order for the elixir, for what the Grail is designed to contain, to flow. And so let me invite you now into a meditation. Let's have a meditation together, if you wish. And you might find it preferable to close your eyes and to become aware of being seated in front of your screen, fully present here and now, but in the wonderful way that our consciousness can do, to allow that awareness to be present, but just to settle into the background, as in the foreground of your awareness, you become aware of walking in a forest and arriving in a clearing, in a sacred grove. Perhaps you've already arrived, perhaps you're already here, and you see companions from all around the world who've gathered from different lands and different directions, all seated here in this circle together. And it's a lovely summer's, late spring, early summer's afternoon, with the evening sun feeling warm on your face and filling the air with light and warmth. And you become aware of the ground beneath you, and you sense its stability and its strength. You sense the trees around you, and you sense them as your brothers and sisters, bringing a sense of companionship, of protection, of oneness with the community of all life. And you look up into the sky, and you sense the blue sky, and you breathe in the energy of the sky. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And this time, seated in the grove, perhaps you can feel a call to go a little deeper into the woods, where you sense, or perhaps have been told, that there's a sacred pool. And if this feels good for you, you start to walk along this path. And it's easy as you go through the path and you hear the birds in the trees. And you follow this path that leads slightly upwards through the trees, until you start to hear the splashing of water in the distance. And you see there's another little clearing. It's a smaller clearing, and it feels very private and very special. And as you come to this clearing, you find yourself pausing as you see before you the most beautiful pool, with water tumbling outside from the edge of the hill down into this pool, a little waterfall that's running down. And this pool is crystal clear, and you sense the presence of the spirit of this pool. And you find yourself bowing your head in acknowledgement to this spirit. And as you breathe in, it's as if you can sense the air that has wafted over the surface of the pool and is reaching you, and it's just slightly cooler and fresher. And you breathe in this fresh air. And you sense the spirit of the pool blessing you and allowing you to step forward. And you dip your hands in the pool and bathe your brow with the water. You may even feel moved to perhaps quietly take off your clothes and just enter into the water, to bathe in the sacred water. And whether you're bathing in the sacred water or lying at the water's edge or sitting at the water's edge, you feel the energy of this fresh water filling you with vitality. Filling you with an energy that you don't need to analyze or put into words, but simply feel as you breathe in and breathe out. And this energy refreshes you in the very deepest way. It's as if every cell in your body is cleansed, revitalized, healed and made whole by this energy. You feel refreshed at the very roots of your being. in the depths of your heart and soul. And you climb out of the pool, you step back from the pool, and you give your thanks to the spirit of the pool. You might find you want to just kneel and gently touch the earth with your hands, feeling the palms of your hands on the grass at the edge of the pool, knowing that this simple act of love and of reverence transmits all that you feel and all that you want to give to the earth, to the spirit of this pool, to the spirits of the land and of the ancestors. A blessing on our lives and a blessing on the land. And having thanked the pool and its spirit, and knowing that you can return to this place at any time, you make your way back to the sacred grove, walking along the path, hearing the birds in the trees, coming into the clearing, finding your place, and then being seated in the clearing. And as you open your inner eyes in this clearing, you see your companions around you, people who have come from every land, from every direction, to be here now together. And just as bathing in the pool required no thought, simply openness to the experience, so being seated here in this circle requires no analysis, no attempt to work out what's going on, but simply an openness to feeling the sense of connection, of communion in its best sense, of oneness. Of feeling perfectly self-contained and individual, but also part of something greater, something that we can't perhaps understand or put a finger on, but of life together as one people on one earth, all of humanity. And then gradually you allow your awareness of being in this circle, retaining any of the positive feelings this has engendered, as you allow yourself to become fully aware of being seated here in front of your screen, fully present here and now. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. Philippa was by the waterfall at the Chalice Well. Yes, what a lovely spot that is, the Chalice Well. That's so beautiful. Yes. Hopefully we'll be able to all gather there, or as many of us as possible. It looks like it's going to have to be next year now, but we're aiming to put on a big event in Glastonbury next summer, next June, and hopefully we'll be able to meet there. So many blessings to you. Have a wonderful week, and I very much look forward to seeing you next week. I'll pop those notes that I made and read out up on the blog there. And in the meanwhile, have a lovely, lovely week. Lots of love and many blessings. Okay, bye.